Rift allows you to trade everything, whether it's equities, crypto, commodities, indices, spot, futures, and bring the entire trading workflow into a single mobile app. And that app is built for 24/7 markets. So you're now probably wondering, why Rift? Most platforms, there's a chart, there's a price, there's a buy or sell button, and that can work if you already know exactly what you want to trade. But for traders, as you all know, the hard part isn't actually placing the order. Usually that's just one click away. The hard part is actually answering the important questions, which are, what assets are even in play right now? Why are those assets moving? Is there a setup that I like? What does the news say? And maybe there's some breaking headline that I should pay attention to. What does the risk reward of this trade even look like? Other apps help you place trades. Rift helps you, find the better trades, understand them faster, and act in seconds. And you can do all of this 24/7, anytime, anywhere. My co-founder and I, we've been trading for over 10 years. And trust me, we've missed out on a million different trades. We've made a million different mistakes. And usually those mistakes are because of bad information. Maybe the markets are closed and I want to trade on a Saturday. Maybe we don't have the right account. Maybe we can't deposit fast enough, which is particularly annoying. And there's a million other scenarios that people just shouldn't have to worry about these days. We've spent a lot of our career building big consumer products used by millions of people. Our team is a mixture of experienced, mobile consumer builders, and of course, pro traders. We're backed by investors like Sequoia, A16Z, Lightspeed, and Jump Trading, who all see the same opportunity we do, which is that retail trading apps just haven't evolved in years, and they definitely aren't set up for 24/7 markets. Rift is a single place to trade absolutely anything, anywhere, at any time. Now, I just want to be clear to everybody, that doesn't mean that every single asset in the world is available on Rift day one. But I want to tell you, our goal is to bring as many different markets into one place as possible. So you can trade anything, whether it's stocks, crypto, commodities, currencies, indexes like the S&P 500. You can take leveraged long or short positions through perpetual futures. You can even trade thematic baskets of assets if you're just bullish on a specific narrative or sector. And the really cool thing that we just introduced is you can even trade pre-IPO markets, like when people were trading Cerberus a full 2 weeks before it listed. So instead of thinking, which app do I need for this asset? The goal is for Rift to become the app you open up when anything is moving. Maybe Nvidia is going parabolic after hours. Maybe war breaks out and oil starts going crazy on a Saturday night. Maybe Cerberus or SpaceX is about to list and you actually just want exposure before the IPO. Right now, where do you even go to capitalize on these opportunities? It's not Interactive Brokers. It's definitely not Robinhood. It's not E-Trade. The unfortunate answer today is that no traditional brokerage can give you what you're looking for here. And that's the entire reason we built Rift. Another reason is because I was missing a really good mobile experience for 24/7 markets. A lot of the most advanced platforms, they're really powerful, but they were built for desktop traders. And these traders, they have a million different monitors. They have a lot of time for absolute complete concentration. But that's just not how most people actually live, especially when they're trading part-time. Maybe they're working another job. Retail traders, they're checking the market between meetings, at lunch with coworkers, or wherever they happen to be when news breaks out. But Rift is built for that reality. You can follow the market, you can analyze opportunities, you can place trades from wherever you are. But all of these trading opportunities do come with a downside. Being able to trade all of these markets is great, but it also creates a new problem, which is there's just way too much stuff to watch. Like I've already said, you have stocks, crypto, commodities, forex, private markets. You can trade spot, you can trade futures. Something is always moving. So that's where signals come in. When people hear signals, they think it means some, random buy alert or some magic indicator on TradingView. That's obviously not what we're building. Rift signals, they're designed to help traders get notified immediately when an asset may be setting up for a trade. And then on top of that, Rift will tell you how the signal has performed historically, how long that signal is valid for, what the risk reward has looked like in the past, what the optimal gain of that signal is based on the optimal hold time. Now, these are fully back-tested and walk-forward tested signals designed to give you more context before you enter a trade. Because it's obviously not like traders typically lose money because they have no ideas. They lose because they have too many ideas and not enough structure. This includes me, right? Sometimes I have FOMO. Sometimes I enter too late, or I exit too early. Now, signals are meant to help with that. Even if you don't follow the signal exactly, it can definitely help you understand what type of market you're in. And I think this is really important. It can make you pause before you take the wrong impulse trade. And one of the things I think is really powerful is that you can bring your own custom signals into the app. A lot of traders I know, they have signals scripted on TradingView, and they use those signals daily. But actually turning those into something actionable can be super painful. With Rift, the idea is simple. A signal triggers, you execute. And now you can bring those same signals you already use on TradingView, you can track how they perform, and you can connect them to one-tap execution all from your phone. There's no complicated setup or separate premium tool or separate subscription. And for the trading groups, this becomes even more useful. I assume you're part of a group where people are constantly sharing signals and setups. Outside of Rift, sharing a custom signal is a huge pain in the ass. Someone has to copy the code, then send you instructions and explain their custom settings. And then at the end of the day, they're just hoping that it's set up correctly. In Rift, you add them as a friend. You go to their signal. You one-tap subscribe, and now all of a sudden you have that signal in your library too. Now, I just want to point out this feature is unique to Rift. And in future videos, I'm going to break down exactly how Rift compares to other trading apps and why we think that signals are such a major unlock. So be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Now, signals are great for understanding setups, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. Another obvious piece is news. And let's be honest, we've all used other trading apps with news feeds. Most of those apps are just complete garbage. The feeds are so delayed, you might as well just read about it in your newsletter the next day. If you use X as your main news source, I apologize, because you should get ready to sift between a bunch of fake headlines. If you have friends that work at hedge funds with proper Bloomberg terminals, you definitely understand how different their news feed is versus what retail gets. And obviously, you know how much they pay for that faster information. So we decided to fix that. Rift gives you access to real-time institutional grade news designed for real professional traders. And to make it even better, we summarize the news quickly, surface the assets that might be impacted, categorize the sentiment. The goal is not just to show headlines. It's to help you understand what those headlines means. If there's breaking news, maybe there's a company update, maybe there's some crazy geopolitical event going on, or major earnings beat. Rift can summarize the story, interpret the sentiment, and connect you to the assets that you might want to watch. Now, news isn't only about headlines. We also want to give users an economic calendar which tracks major events traders should be paying attention to. Maybe they want to pay attention to CPI reports. Maybe it's jobs data. Maybe it's Fed decisions, GDP releases, company earnings. The list goes on and on and on. From there, you can open up trades directly from the calendar. And while we're talking about market moving events, one of the biggest trades happening right now is actually outside the normal public market. Trading pre-IPO opportunities is a massive way that institutional investors are getting huge returns. And if institutional investors can get exposure to trading pre-IPO, why can't retail? So just like with giving access to institutional grade news, we decided to change that too. Now, we can't give access to every single pre-IPO market, but we do try to give access to as many as we can, especially the big ones like SpaceX. Now, these markets, I just want to point out, they definitely have different risks than normal public stocks. Liquidity can be different, volatility can be different, but the broader idea is simple. With Rift, we're not just trying to give you the same markets in a cleaner app. What we're trying to do is give you new access to new opportunities too. So if you want to unlock access to exclusive pre-IPO investment opportunities, download Rift today with the link in the description. Okay, now you found your white whale, and now you want to use bigger leverage to take an even bigger position. Rift supports leverage trading and allows you to get that leverage in multiple ways. In Rift, you can get leverage by borrowing against your collateral. Let's say you have a bunch of Bitcoin, or let's say you have a bunch of NVIDIA stock, and you want to borrow US dollars against that. You can get leverage that way. You can also get leverage through trading perpetual futures. On a traditional brokerage like Robinhood, maybe you'll get 2 to 3x leverage, unless you have some special account. To put it in perspective, on Rift, if you want it, you can get up to 50x leverage on some assets. Obviously though, more leverage does equal more risk, and more risk means more risk management. So please be careful and do your homework. And this is exactly why we put AI analysis directly into the trade flow. Because if you're going to trade fast moving markets, especially with leverage, you need a quick way to check the setup before you just do something stupid. When I use Rift, the first thing I do when I'm about to take a bigger position is I run a fast AI analysis on the asset so I can just get a quick gauge for the current setup, key drivers, bias triggers, and I know AI is a buzzword, So let me explain what I actually mean. This is not the same thing as copying a ticker into ChatGPT and asking, is this asset going to go up? What does this candlestick pattern mean? Trust me, I've done that too, just as an experiment. And the result is, as you would expect, just garbage. We feed our model with all relevant market data, price and volume data, all our signals, all our news, order flow, and any other context we can get for the asset, so we can give you a more useful read on what's actually happening. And all of this happens in seconds with one tap from your phone. And I just want to point out, on top of analyzing only specific assets, Rift can also help you understand what assets are in play across the market. So if you want to know the top stocks, crypto, commodities, or other markets to watch for some intraday position, the answer is also one tap away. Chart analysis is obviously not the only way that AI will be used in trading. And in future videos, I'll talk more about, AI trading tools, AI agents, and how traders should be thinking about using them responsibly. So be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. So we've talked about analyzing specific assets, but sometimes your view is a lot broader, where you think an entire theme is going to go parabolic and is going to move in a crazy way. Maybe that theme is semiconductors, maybe it's AI, maybe it's something else entirely, but you don't want to place a bet on a single ticker. Now that's where Rift Baskets come in. You know what? Maybe you believe that AI-related assets are about to outperform. Maybe you want exposure to some basket that gives access to all of the major crypto assets. What Rift lets you do is it lets you buy weighted thematic baskets of assets. So instead of researching, every single individual asset, choosing the weighting, sizing the position, and managing everything manually, you can get exposure to a theme in a simpler way. So we've talked a lot about the problems that Rift solves, but there's still one big problem if markets are 24/7. And that problem is, unfortunately, we're all still human, and you cannot be online every second of every day. So that's why we also believe that automation is absolutely critical to succeeding in 24/7 markets. So with Rift, we allow you to automate your trades using signals. Now, like I said, this is especially important in 24/7 markets because you just never know when a signal is going to trigger. Opportunities can happen overnight. They can happen before the open, after hours, on weekends, or just while you're not looking at your phone or computer. Automation helps solve that. So instead of watching the market all day, you can create rules based on signals, and Rift will help you execute when those conditions are met. You can now act on a strategy more like a systematic trader and completely remove emotion from the equation. And now I'm going to talk about a different feature. It's not as sexy and exciting as AI, automation, and leverage, but I do think it's incredibly important. The best traders that I know, they're always logging every single trade. And unfortunately, what I see in a lot of the groups that I'm in is that only a small percentage of the people are following this example, which is crazy to me. With Rift, every single trade gets logged automatically. We automatically give you insights into your performance. And if you're trying to really improve as a trader, it's really important to deeply understand, where are you making your money? Where are you losing your money? Which assets are working best for you? Which type of setups are performing best for you? Even what days are you performing best? You don't need to export your trades anymore or subscribe to some other tool or track everything in some other spreadsheet. Rift already knows exactly what you traded, when you traded it, and it'll help educate you on what could happen next. So if you struggled to actually journal, now the journaling just becomes automatic. Now, a lot of traditional platforms are powerful, but the onboarding experience just sucks. You sign up, you fill out forms, you wait for approval, you connect your funding, and then you just wait for your money to arrive. And by the time that everything is ready, the opportunity that you wanted to trade is probably already gone. Now, interactive brokers, I love you, but I also hate your user experience. And they're a great example of this. Super powerful tool. All my serious trader friends and even some funds are using it, right? But for a lot of retail traders, it's just way too complicated. It's intimidating. It's slow, and it's just not built for the way that people are actually trading on mobile. You know what? Rift is different. With Rift, and you can hold me to this, you can create your account in seconds. You can fund your account in seconds, and you can literally start trading within minutes of downloading the app. And trust me when I say this, click download on the app, go through the onboarding, deposit funds, and it will be under 5 minutes. This is no exaggeration. And when the markets are moving, your trading app should not be the thing holding you back. So now you're probably asking, how is Rift actually able to offer this kind of experience? You know what, how can the app support 24/7 markets, faster funding, instant settlements? And something I haven't mentioned is always allow you to keep control over your funds. The simple answer is that Rift is built on a modern on-chain trading infrastructure that's just very, very different from what a traditional brokerage would use, like an IBKR or Robinhood. Trades settle instantly without waiting for traditional T+1 or T+2 settlement cycles. And like I said, you always stay in control of your assets. And on that same point, you can deposit as much as you want, you can withdraw as much as you want, and you can do this at any time. So you're probably wondering, what's the catch? Are there hidden fees or something? And honestly, you should ask that question about any trading app. If any trading app tells you that they're doing something for free, it usually means that you're the product. Rift is designed to be transparent about fees. Like most trading apps, Rift makes money from trading fees and premium features like subscriptions. And you can always see the fees clearly displayed before every single trade. There's no wait, what did I just pay moment? And on the topic of fees, who actually controls your funds? Because that's also how some of these trading apps make money. Like I said before, Rift doesn't operate like a traditional exchange where everything is locked inside of a closed system, and you're hoping that deposits and withdrawals go through when you actually need them. We believe it's super important that a trader never needs to question where their funds are, how much they can withdraw, or whether they can move quickly when the market moves. At the end of the day, Rift is the best full mobile trading experience for modern markets. What we've built with Rift brings together all traditional assets, whether it's equities, crypto, commodities, forex, futures, spot, and even pre-IPO opportunities into a single app. And we pair all of that with the things that can actually take your trading to the next level, which is breaking news, AI analysis, back-tested signals, performance tracking, automation, and a lot more coming. Markets are now 24/7. Retail traders are more informed than ever. News moves faster than ever. And traders need tools that can help them move faster without forcing them to stitch together a million different apps and subscriptions. Rift helps you discover what's moving, understand why, and act faster in one tap. So if you want to stay ahead of the market with Rift, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you want to trade smarter, move faster, and access the next generation of markets, download Rift today. By the way, if you have any questions or you just want a demo of what's coming next, you can always reach me. It's alex@rift.ai. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.